Keek on the mic, keek on the mic, keek on the mic, keek on the mic. People, this the intro.
Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down.
The Chicago Bears are preparing for their Week 2 matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where they look to make a huge bounce back after a very disappointing loss against the Green Bay Packers during their Week 1 matchup. Bears fans, after usually one loss, especially Week 1 of the NFL season, usually organizations are not really panicking. They're not concerned whatsoever. They just go back to the drawing board and try to bounce back in a huge way and get the win the very next week. But this seems like a very special case in terms of how the Chicago Bears lost to the Green Bay Packers. All offseason long, after what Ryan Poles did to add to this football team and all the buildup and excitement leading up to an Aaron Rodgers-less Green Bay Packers football team, the Chicago Bears organization finally felt that this was the moment that the Chicago Bears would finally beat the Green Bay Packers. And obviously there was a lot of panic amongst Bears fans as well. Everyone is kind of questioning the direction of this football team. And it seems like there's actually a lot of drama within the Chicago Bears organization as well, as there's a massive rumor going around about the McCaskey family being very upset about that Week 1 outcome against the Green Bay Packers. According to Jeff Hughes of the Bears blog, everyone knows that he's a big Bears Twitter account, and he has some very reliable sources within the Chicago Bears organization. Whether you believe it or not, I choose to believe the sources that he has within the Chicago Bears organization. The other day, Jeff Hughes of the Bears blog tweeted this: "Just caught up with a lot of information and bad. They need to win Sunday." He then follows up with this: "It's the same old stuff. Ownership is angry. Coach is defensive. Players on edge. We've been here before." Bears fans, if this is true, which I'm going to choose to believe that this is true, I truly believe that the McCaskey family is probably a little bit distraught and a little bit angry about how that game went against the Green Bay Packers. Once again, like I mentioned, they felt that this was finally the time that the Chicago Bears would finally get the upper hand on the Green Bay Packers. And it's different that if they went in there and lost by 3 or it was a tight game. No, the Chicago Bears looked unprepared. They got blown out. The Green Bay Packers absolutely dismantled the Chicago Bears. So it's the way that the Chicago Bears lost, which had a lot of Bears fans and obviously people within the organization a little bit angry about that outcome, especially once again, after what Ryan Poles did this offseason, trading away the number 1 overall pick to get DJ Moore. DJ Moore only had 2 targets for 2 catches in that game against Green Bay. Your number 1 wide receiver, that's unacceptable. Then you add guys like Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards. You tried to improve the offensive line and defensive line. Everyone in the Chicago Bears against the Green Bay Packers looked absolutely bad, down to the coaching staff, to the players. Everyone in that game looked absolutely terrible. So I understand why the McCaskey family would feel the way that they do. And I'll get into a little bit more about the McCaskey family as well, because they are a lot to blame as well. To me, ownership for the Chicago Bears has never been great. You know, they sit here time and time again and get frustrated with the results. But at the end of the day, if you're angry about it or if you're upset about something, you need to do something about it as well, right? So I'll get into a little bit more about the McCaskey family later. But Bears fans, this thing going around, right? This rumor that Jeff Hughes of the Bears blog put out on Twitter the other day, this is by no surprise whatsoever. And I know it's crazy to sit here and say that Sunday, Week 2 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a must-win game, or else who knows what's going to happen. Maybe some coaches are on the hot seat. I don't know if that means Flus, if that means Luke Getsy, if that means Alan Williams. I'm not sure what that means. But once again, when you look back at the tweet and he says they need to win Sunday, that means if they get embarrassed, once again, if they go in there and look unprepared and they go in there and you're not getting DJ Moore involved or Justin Fields looks the same, someone is getting fired. That's exactly what that tweet means. But once again, going back to my point, to me, this is by no surprise whatsoever that the Chicago Bears organization is this upset. Once again, dating back to last year, the Chicago Bears went 3-14. Once again, Poles spent 10 draft picks and tens of millions of dollars upgrading the roster from Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Darnell Wright, Nate Davis, right? You bring in Chase Claypool. He looked terrible. Obviously getting DJ Moore. They didn't get him involved. So I understand where the McCaskies and the Chicago Bears organization are coming from. And then once again, now you're just looking at the matchup against the Green Bay Packers. The Chicago Bears have now lost 7 straight to the Green Bay Packers, and Eberflus is 0-3 against the Green Bay Packers, and 2 of those losses against the Packers were blowout wins for the Packers over the Chicago Bears. And before I go any further, I do want to bring this point up. The only other Chicago Bears coach to be fired after 2 seasons with the franchise is Mark Trestman. So yeah, we all know what happened in the Mark Trestman area. It was absolutely terrible. And it's looking like if things don't improve quickly, and it needs to start this weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, someone may possibly lose their job. And I don't know who it's going to be, but it seems like the McCaskies have some very strong feelings that if things don't improve this week, someone's going to be in out in the Chicago Bears organization. And Bears fans, I think the reason why Jeff Hughes, when he talked to his sources within Hallis Hall, I think the reason why they say they need to win Sunday, this game becomes a must-win game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because when you look at the Chicago Bears, once again, they went 3-14 last year, and the last time Matt Eberflus and the Chicago Bears won a football game was October 24th. That is a long damn time, Bears fans. And then when you think about it, if the Bears go out there against Tampa Bay and they do the same thing, they looked unprepared, right? And they absolutely get blown out and they drop to 0-2, you are basically 0-3 at this point, because after Tampa Bay, here is your next 6 games on the Chicago Bears schedule: at Kansas City versus Denver, at Washington versus Minnesota, and versus Las Vegas. To me, if you are not going to go in there prepared and beat Tampa Bay, you're not going to beat Kansas City. You're not going to beat Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, and the Denver Broncos. Washington's going to put up a better fight. They're going to be more prepared than us, so we're going to lose that game as well. Of course, you're going to lose to the Minnesota Vikings, and then, of course, you're going to lose to Jimmy G and the Las Vegas Raiders. So I think that's where the Chicago Bears organization is coming from. If you don't come out and you don't make adjustments, you don't look better than week 1. If you go out there and you look unprepared, you look the exact same in that week 1 matchup against the Green Bay Packers, you put up the same type of result against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, someone is possibly going to get fired. Obviously, this is all speculation at this point. Obviously, like I said, you guys can choose not to believe Jeff Hughes of the Bears blog. I'm going to choose to believe him and his sources. And I definitely believe that some of these coaches already early in the season are on the hot seat for their jobs on the Chicago Bears football team. Overall, Bears fans, at this point in time, it is just a massive rumor going around inside Hallis Hall and surrounding the Chicago Bears. But I can definitely see the McCaskey family being a little upset about the outcome, especially against the Green Bay Packers. That's a very emotional game for the Chicago Bears organization. And the fact of the matter is, the Green Bay Packers have owned the Chicago Bears. It is no longer a rivalry. The Green Bay Packers own it. You can't have a rivalry when it's one-sided, right? So I can understand when emotions get involved. Obviously, the McCaskies are upset, and sometimes when you're emotional, you're not really thinking. But I think at the same time, if the Chicago Bears come out and once again get embarrassed after everything Ryan Poles did, rather you agree with some of the moves Ryan Poles made or not, at the end of the day, Ryan Poles did upgrade the roster to allow this coaching staff to at least put up a better performance against the Green Bay Packers than they showed. So yes, I can definitely see that the Chicago Bears need to bounce back in a huge way this weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if they don't, if they look the same, I can definitely see some of these coaches being on the hot seat for the Chicago Bears. And as promised, before I end this episode of Keek on the Mic, I do want to bring up the McCaskey family a little bit, because we all know the McCaskies have not done enough for the Chicago Bears franchise in order for this franchise to be successful. So I feel like it's just a little bit funny that now you guys are upset with the product on the football field. It's time to put your foot down and actually make some legit changes to help this football team succeed, not only for one season, but for years and years. So yes, the McCaskies are as much to blame than any other person within this organization. So once again, that's just my thoughts and opinion on the McCaskey family. If you're upset with it, do something about it. If you really are not liking where this team is going, which is crazy to me, if they do end up letting go of Matt Eberflus after week 2, But if you're really unhappy with what you're seeing from this organization and the way it's trending, then do something about it, right? Try to make some changes. At this point, like I said, it's just a rumor. We'll see what actually happens. But before I let you guys go, how do you guys feel about this rumor? Do you believe that this game this weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a must-win game for Matt Eberflus and the Chicago Bears? Let me know down below in the comment section. Before I let you guys go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You've been listening to Keek on the Mic, a podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Thanks, guys, and bear down.